Testing. Okay.
Morning. Does mine work?
Yeah, I
Everything
think
yours?
so.
Yeah, what they said yesterday is true about those lights. Wow.
Yeah. Whew, bright.
First thing in the morning. Good morning, everyone. I will do my best not to look at my notes, especially since I forgot my glasses. So we'll wing it. So thanks for coming back again. I hope you all had a really nice evening. And if you had to commute, I hope you had an easy commute this morning. Mine took me 45 minutes to get here from Grand Central, so I'm a little out of breath. But I wanted to welcome Traci here. Traci has a really amazing background. She started out on the agency side, has done a really amazing job in terms of her career and the tenure that she had on the agency side. She then went to Aramis, was at Aramis for almost 4 years, and is now at MasterCard as sort of the VP of Global Media. So I have a lot of questions for you, but I wanted to sort of start with, how did that transition go? Tell us a little bit more about sorry, I'm Toby McKenna from Basis Technologies, previous Centro. But would love to hear more about sort of your journey through agency, what brought you to brand, and then how does that translate being on the brand side?
Sure. So hi, everyone. First of all, nice to see you all today. So I spent a little more than half of my career now on the client side, but prior to that, I started at the agency in the agency world, working at Ogilvy and then at PhD. And that experience definitely prepared me for being on the client side. And I will say it's so important for a brand side marketer to understand agency dynamics, to understand the culture and what, how much work and effort goes into supporting your clients when you're an agency representative. And I actually think that my job, I'm better at my job because of my agency experience, and I tap into it as much as possible. I'm understanding of my agency's needs. I feel like I include them as a team member, extension of our team, not as somebody that I just demand orders to, right? So it's, I think it's crucial for brand side marketers to have that experience. I think it's made me a better marketer, and I think that I wouldn't have changed my career path at all. Like I loved the agency side. Everybody I'm sure knows when you first come out of college, it's like a wonderful place to be. You're going out all the time. You're going to the spa. You're going to, it was one of those jobs I couldn't believe that I had. I was like, this is amazing. I might not have gotten paid a lot, but it was nice. And then, yeah, as I grew up and as I, started a family, moving to the brand side, was a goal of mine, and I was fortunate enough to be asked and recruited, and I couldn't be happier that from my Estee Lauder days to now where I am at MasterCard, I'm so grateful for the experience. I've been, taught by the greatest of people. I've learned, have amazing mentors along the way, and MasterCard's a really special place to work at. So that's where I'm
awesome.
at.
I think it's interesting that you see a lot of people going from agency to brand, but not so much brand to agency. Might be a little bit of a telltale sign there. So you left the agency to go over to Aramis and Estee, and then from there to MasterCard. What made you choose to go to MasterCard? Those are very different companies.
Yeah, no, I get this question a lot. And so it was a few different things. When I was on the agency side, I had worked across a lot of different brands. But the last brand that I was working on at PhD was Elizabeth Arden. So when Estee Lauder had recruited me over, I'd already been working in the beauty space for about like 2 or 3 years at that point. So then add on another 4 years, and I will say the beauty category is tough after a long time. I happen to be very passionate about beauty, so it was one of those things where I could get excited about the products. I could certainly, be, able to come up with ideas that were innovative because of the fact that I was a consumer myself. But over time, it drained me a bit, and I wanted something different. I wanted to try a different space. And I had seen all the amazing marketing coming out of MasterCard, and I said, I want to meet people there. And so I reached out to a former colleague who introduced me to my previous boss. We had a wonderful conversation. There was nothing available at the time, but we kept in touch. And then when something became available, he's like, "Let's do this." And I was like, "Let's do it, yay!" And it's been amazing. I mean, a lot of people think of MasterCard as a credit card company. We are not. We are a payment technology company. And I think that when I was interviewing for the process, I even in that learned like 10 things I didn't know. And every day I learn more about the company that I don't know because we are just so vast and there's so many products and services that we offer that you would all be floored by. And so it was amazing because I felt like, okay, this is a tech company. This is not, a financial services brand, really. We're a technology brand. And we get to do really cool things and we get to innovate and we have amazing products like I was saying that it's really fun to be able to think of ideas on how to activate.
So that brings up a good point. So the Priceless campaign has been around since the 1990s, which is unbelievable to think about how long that has had a run. And it's an iconic just brand name. I mean, everybody can associate Priceless with MasterCard. But that's a long run. How do you guys keep it fresh? How do you, as you just mentioned, are more innovative around that? I'm sure that there's plenty of activation that you've done that's different than it was in the 1990s. But can you talk a little bit more about like how that has progressed and how that stayed fresh?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's the longest marketing campaign around, and we're really proud of that. But it's not easy, right, to maintain that level of innovation when you're sticking with somewhat of the same, tagline. But we have evolved, and I'll walk you through that process. But going back to your previous question, actually, I also want to say another reason why I came to MasterCard was because I had such an affinity for the Priceless campaign. And the first spot that we ever aired was, I'm sure some of you can remember, was a boy at a baseball stadium with his dad. And, he's experiencing it for the first time and he's eating popcorn and getting Cracker Jacks. And, it's the whole listicles that we used to do. And for everything else, there's prices. I mean, I just remember feeling so moved by it because I had experienced that with my dad. And it was like, that emotional connection that a brand was able to make with somebody who over time, like I never forgot that feeling. And so that was another reason why I was drawn to MasterCard in the first place. So the beginning of our Priceless journey was all about observing priceless moments and sharing them. And, similar to the baseball spot, we were just highlighting what's so amazing about these priceless moments in people's lives. And we were to some degree inspiring them. And that was a long time that we really just did this observation and we shared. And then we realized we could do more than that. So we pivoted to becoming more of a brand that kind of helps you activate those priceless moments, right? So we developed 4 different pillars: priceless specials, priceless causes, priceless surprises, and priceless cities. And all 4 of those platforms were now enabling consumers to live their best priceless life. So we were opening up the door, providing opportunities for brands or for customers to experience all these amazing experiences they wouldn't have been able to without a MasterCard. And then about, I want to say it's now 4 or 5 years, we took it a step further. And we said, okay, we've observed, we've enabled. Now what can we do? We want to inspire and we want to help people to realize that they can start something priceless in their lives. And especially given not just the political climate, but just the state of the world at the time, there was a lot of conversation coming up about issues and things that, as a brand, we don't really talk about, we don't like to, but we wanted to do was give consumers a platform to do that talking and to stand up for what they believe in and what's right. And so we created a campaign, Start Something Priceless, and it was all about letting a consumer kind of share how they've started priceless things in their lives. We were sharing those out, and it's something that we're still running today, and it has so many different legs and arms, and you could use it in many different ways. Be it just about starting something priceless by maybe starting a non-for-profit organization or celebrating specific moments in your life. It's as small or as big as you want it to be, right? And I could give you one example. We recently ran a campaign, and this was really more where we were headed, is trying to inspire goodness in the world. And so we had a campaign called Inclusion Through Action, where we partnered with 10 global influencers across YouTube, or creators, and we had them talk about meaningful experiences or things in their life that lined up to 3 very important pillars for MasterCard, which is people, planet, and prosperity. And what we mean by that is we're focused on diversity and inclusion. We're focused on ESG and the planet. And we are focused on financial inclusion. So we found creators in those three areas to talk naturally and authentically and organically about how they've started something priceless in their life in relation to all of those categories. And so really, we're so proud of the Priceless platform. It's been a journey and one that we think is going to keep going for quite some time. So I'm sure there'll be another evolution soon, but that's where we're at today.
That's wonderful. It's interesting. We had a gentleman here yesterday, as all you know, from Petco, and I think he would say pets would be the other one because
Yeah.
his inspired.
Oh, we use pets in a lot of our spots, so I believe it. And I know Jay.
So in terms of like the success metrics and KPIs around all of that, I mean, is that something that, how are you guys measuring what that looked like and whether or not it's working or something you want to continue or spend more money on or all of that?
Yeah. So for a brand like ours, it really depends on the campaign, of course, as everyone would say, and the objective and what we're trying to achieve. But one thing I think people also don't realize about MasterCard is, again, we're not the bank. We're not looking for acquisitions. We're not looking for applications. What we're really trying to do is inspire people to love our brand and to feel connected to it and close to it. And so we have a brand health study that we put out every quarter in our biggest markets. And basically, we're tracking towards that brand love and preference because at the end of the day, we need to be we want banks to choose MasterCard when they're issuing their cards. And the way to do that is to prove that we have preference over other competitors. And so we spend a lot of time on top funnel metrics, on driving that brand preference and love. We will append brand lift studies to the majority of what we do to help us learn how we can get better at that. And then we do have a B2B side of the business where we're focused on lead generation or account-based marketing. And so that side is actually starting to grow even more now. We're very focused on showing to the world all of the amazing products and services we have because I think we've done a really good job at talking to the consumer, but we have so much more work to talk to our customers about.
It's funny, for a minute there, I was like, wow, you're only spending branding dollars. That's like, the
No.
golden goose for everyone. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So in terms of activating on those media channels, what have you guys been doing recently? How is that morphed over time? How are you looking at digital versus other outlets?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say we have a pretty healthy mix across the media channel landscape. I mean, we're still, absolutely present in television. We're, out of home. We still have got our traditional channels. Of course, we've leaned more heavily on digital, especially over the past, 5 or so years. We've rotated more and more as the pandemic's happened, obviously, too. Um, but I think all of them, I think most marketers would say this, but all of them are important in our mix. And I wouldn't say that we're changing any one drastically. We're just trying to explore and test and learn and innovate as much as possible. So things like metaverse and NFTs. And I mean, everybody's on top of it. We are certainly very active right now in both those spaces and will be, even more so soon. So there's lots of opportunity for us to continue to test areas that we haven't been in, but also to hopefully elevate where we are.
Excellent. In terms of measurement, I mean, it's a topic that's come up a bunch of times in the last, I would say, 24 hours that we've all been together. What are some of the things that you feel are working well in terms of measurement? Where are areas where you feel like there's big gaps, but maybe solvable gaps, and you have a magic wand or anything?
Yeah, so measurement's always a tricky one for me. I feel like I'm never satisfied. I never feel like it's good enough. It's definitely a gap, I think, still in our industry to a certain extent. Um, I think we, again, because we are so very focused on top funnel, it's challenging to prove out, and what we try to do is we try to connect as much as possible what we're measuring from our campaigns, be it digital or TV or whatnot, and connect it to our brand health trackers. But they're not like intrinsically linked, So we have to prove out time and time that no, it was actually the media campaign that helped drive those numbers, right? So attribution, understanding. Last touch attribution in particular is something that we'll want to eventually kind of move towards, especially as we start to push our priceless platform, because that is one area where we're also a little bit more bottom funnel focused. Um, but I would say, like, I would love the walled gardens to open up a little bit more, like
We all
everybody else. The whole, cookieless world thing, honestly, I think there's been some great solutions to that already. So I'm confident we're going to be okay. I also feel like, again, for a brand like us, we weren't so heavily leaning on it anyway. So I think we're just now kind of testing and learning to see what other opportunities there are to, um, continue to move the needle.
So when it comes to testing and learning, have there been any big aha moments for you? And when you think about kind of 2022 and what you want to accomplish for 2022 and what may be missing in the media landscape? I know that's a lot of questions all in one.
I don't know that we've had a major aha moment other than, like, the whole cookie list thing, everybody freaking out about in the beginning, and just, we're not too concerned about it. We feel like we have a good hold on it. I'll say, back in the day when, but not that long ago, but we, embarked on a DMP and we did all these things. And then we got rid of our DMP, and it was like, that was an aha moment. We're like, why did we even do that in the first place? Which, for some brands, I'm sure it's super useful, but like, we've found better ways to innovate and kind of get around some of that. And so, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there's major aha moments. I just think that we're learning that, again, the full mix is important. Especially during the pandemic. Definitely challenging when budgets, were cut, and we had to really think about, like, how do we get in front of our consumer and in a way that's not overly sensitive at a difficult time period, right? So there's been a lot of learnings over the past 2 years. I think another thing is, now that we are hopefully closer to post-pandemic, I don't know if it's ever going away, but you get the point. I think we're now in a phase where we feel like, hopefully we can pick back up where it's where we were pre-pandemic, and we're evolving a little bit in how we're spending with channels from that. But it really, a learning was, it hasn't changed all that much, and it's kind of going back to where it was. Yeah.
Great. And then, so in terms of like what's on the roadmap for the next year or so, is there any sort of big things you're working on? Is there new things you're going to be testing? What are sort of the big things for coming up?
Yeah. So we have a lot of fun things coming up that I can't talk about,
Sorry.
explicitly at least. But I will say we're absolutely active and playing in the NFT and metaverse space. We have something coming up soon for that we're really, really excited about. It very much speaks to the way we like to advertise. We don't just engage in a platform because it's new and upcoming. We engage in a platform because we want to connect with consumers, and we want to make sure that when we do engage, it's from a passionate perspective. So we look across 6 different passion points, and our activation around in this space is going to be connected to one of those passion points, especially one that we feel very strongly about. And I think that you'll see when it does come out, that we're not doing it for the sake of doing it. We're doing it because we want to create meaningful experiences for people.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Is it time?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much. There's going to be
Questions
questions
Thank
from
you.
the audience now.
Oh, perfect. By the way, you were here really early today. I saw you. And I recognize that. I appreciate that, just so you know.
Traci, that was fantastic. In terms of global planning versus national planning,
Yeah.
were you able to take any of the experiences you had at the agency side and bring that into your new role? And were there any challenges that you had going through that process?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually worked a little bit on global on the agency side before I went to Estee Lauder, which was tremendously helpful. But I will say, it didn't really do all that much until you're in the position. You really don't know. And so when I went to Estee Lauder, I made a mistake that probably lots of people do, but I stepped on toes. Like, we come in, we're like, oh, we're global. We get to, like, make all these decisions, but really we don't, because we don't have the budgets. And so I realized that I had to position myself differently, right? So at first it was like, I think you should do this. And then it was like, okay, I'm an extension of your team. I'm here to help you. Right? So I learned pretty quickly the right language, the right approach. And I will say it's like every culture is different, and you can't walk into Singapore office and necessarily treat them exactly the same way as you would walk into the Dubai office. So you have to understand those cultural nuances in order to effectively, have conversations with people where they believe in you and trust in you. Because if you don't know your stuff, then it's very easy for them to see through that. So really, I'm fortunate now. I've been in a global role for almost 9 years, and so I feel like I understand the landscapes in all of the regions now pretty well. And in our biggest region, which at every company it's different, but like over time, I've been able to prove value by bringing things to them that they don't. When you're in a local market in particular, you're bogged down like with the day to day. So I'm sure all of you sales reps never hear back from your North America counterparts at all the market, because they're just so busy. Like they don't have the time. And it's not that I'm not busy, because I am. But what we do in global is we like to take some of that off their plate, and we say we're going to find innovative ideas. We're going to you know, vet through it for you. And when we see something that connects with our brand, that has purpose, that has meaning, that we feel like you could, activate, then we're going to put it in front of you and we're going to say, hey, this is an amazing idea. You should talk to these people. So I think like understanding that you can provide value and where you can provide that value and showing that value is the key to being successful in a global role.
Traci, can you talk a little bit about the working relationship between MasterCard and your media agency?
Yeah. So our agency, which is Kara Dentsu, has been a wonderful partner of ours. We've been working with them for, I think, oh my gosh, now like 7-8 years. And like I said before, they're absolutely a part of the family. Like we don't look at our agencies as, again, just somebody who activates for us. We welcome them in. We bring them into the culture. We onboard them as much as possible. We get them in front of all of our products and services so they understand them, so that when they're planning, they can create the best plans. And they're an incredibly important part of the mix for us. And that's not just our media agency, right? Same thing with our creative agency. McKenna's been with us for quite some time now, so they sit at the table, and I think it's really important. And people see that they're an active participant versus just sitting back and like waiting for us to tell them what to do, which is good.
Either one. Yeah, we'll just go in row order.
Hey, Traci. On the DE&I space,
Mm,
very successful campaign that you did with Jennifer
mm,
Hudson, targeting African American business owners.
yeah.
Are you looking? What was the impetus behind that? Are you looking to do more with other groups, like say, with Innovators or the Hispanic space?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Honestly, we're so passionate about the space, and the impetus for that campaign was we recognized that Black female small business owners were suffering, especially coming out of as the pandemic started, and we're like, we need to support this audience. We need to support this community. They do so much more than people realize. We wanted to shine a light on that, and partnering with Jennifer Hudson was a big move for us because she's so inspirational for that audience, and we felt it was important to start speaking and partnering with people who can really help and prove out what we're trying to do and show. And that was a North America campaign, so I can't speak to all the details behind it, but absolutely something that we're very proud of and really passionate about and continuing to push. So that is not going anywhere. As far as other audiences go, absolutely. I think it's a matter of just figuring out the right assets and the right moments. But we are a 100% diverse and inclusive company who we don't talk to. We usually don't talk to consumers because of who they are. We talk to them because of what they're passionate about. And so. That's how we look at the landscape, is like we want to talk to anyone and everyone who loves music, anyone and everyone who loves sports, travel, culinary, and arts and culture. So like those are the areas we're focused on. And specifically in the sports area, for example, we have Lionel Messi as one of our ambassadors, and so we make sure that we're speaking to the Spanish-speaking audience because they're huge Messi fans. And so there's absolutely many different aspects of our programs and campaigns that reach hopefully anyone and everyone.
NBC guy.
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
Thank you. I wanted to ask about the buy now, pay later. I'm reading a lot about that and the threat to carrying balances for credit cards. Is there a
Mhm.
product that you're piloting anywhere for that, or is there anything that you're doing around that mix of buy now, pay later?
Yeah. No, we're definitely active in that space. We do have a product, I believe. I'm not going to lie, I'm not as close to it, so I don't want to pretend to answer something that I don't know. But yes, short answer, yes, we're there. There was maybe I'm not going to go there, but we can talk about it after. Yes, absolutely, we're there and we're focused on it for sure.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good information.